I'm Bruce Tuff, principal of the Tuff Law Firm. We are a full-service law firm serving the greater Woodlands area and the greater Houston area. Contact us at 281-681-0808. We're tough for you.
And now, here's the veteran voice of the legal fix, Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Lone Star State in Montgomery County, Texas, for a brand new episode of the Legal Fix, a new age radio show presented by the Tuff Law Firm, the toughest law firm in town, with the toughest lawyers around, answering your toughest legal questions. Introducing first, hosting out of the red corner, the big deal, Bruce Colson. Tough, joined by Boy Wonder, Brandon Scott Riley, and super lawyer, G.I. Jerome, the Golden Boy, Jeremy Lee Hall.
Hey, thank you, Bruce Buffer. I'm the big deal, Bruce Tuff. I'm here with Boy Wonder, Brandon Riley, and the Golden Boy, Jeremy Hall. Later, we're going to be joined by some special guest callers. This is the Legal Fix Hotline All-Stars edition, one of our special shows for you. Edition. Brought to you from your request, Legal Fix Hotline All-Stars. And I was just telling the guys here, I said, you know what? We could just run a show with the characters in our office.
Yeah,
that's what
like
we could
the
do.
eraser and the badge.
We would just run the whole show with characters in our office. If you have questions, please call our hotline. I know we've got some callers that are going to call in. 936-900-2381. And I'm told that we're going to hear from Man on the Street special correspondent Taint Merchant.
Oh,
he's got quite a following. Taint Merchant. Everybody loves him. He made his debut covering the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
That's right.
And he was so insightful, because one of the questions I dropped on him is I said, I heard Johnny Depp does drugs, and he knew every drug that Johnny Depp did and had commentary on each one of them, which I've got to ask him again because I forgot all that. I have to rewatch the segment.
Yeah, the Viper Room. The Viper Room actually stars on the movie Be Cool with John Travolta. The Viper Room's featured, and that was the club that Johnny Depp owned that Taint was very envious of. The party boy lifestyle, the Viper Room in L.A. Saw it recently on a movie. But yeah, I think Taint got lost in a rabbit hole of internet searches on Amber Heard and ended up with some kind of a shrine in his bathroom. So I'm wondering if he'll go back to that today or if he just keeps it straight meat prices.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I also hear we're expecting to hear from our scorned farmer, Reginald Buchanan.
Reggie, yeah. Reggie gave him some good advice before.
Yeah, well, he's good. And then in the third segment, we're going to have all the moment you've been waiting for, meat prices with Boy Wonder.
Meat prices. Are they going up or are they going down?
Did you debut that last week?
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, he broke meat prices. No, we said it wasn't a big deal, and now it's worldwide headline news. He was actually ahead of it.
In one of the many random topics that I brought up, it was the Kansas cattle that all died. Thousands of cattle died from a heat stroke all at once and were just laying over. That was several weeks ago, like 3 or 4. But we've kept bringing it up because, as Bruce pointed out, the price of meat has doubled in some areas. Like his $3 pack of hot dogs has gone up to $6, right?
It did. Yeah, that was
Joe Biden keeps clicking the up toggle on the meat price.
Does he know how to click the toggle?
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
If his hand rests on it, it'll go down. But yeah, he's been clicking up. So it's not just the cattle dying. There are other factors at play here in the meat price, the mystery of the meats.
Yeah, it may be Hunter Biden smoking so much crack. I don't know.
It's got to be related to Hunter.
He should really talk to Hunter because BW brought this up before that all our strategic oil reserves are been depleted because they've been sold to China, and one of the companies that is receiving the recipient of our strategic oil reserves is associated with guess who?
The Biden family.
The Hunter Biden.
The
of
H bomb.
course.
You guys went
so it's
off
all
on
an
this last
inside
episode.
deal.
The Keystone XL. Can we just do the L? Maybe
Yeah,
a medium
well,
pipeline. Are there other ones available?
And the latest for Joe Biden is that he's attacking all the convenience store owners and say you need to lower your gas prices, and there's no margin in that. There's the margins about like that, so they make their
more
money.
They make more money off of when you go in and buy soda than they do off of
Altoids,
gallons.
That's where they make all their
gasoline.
money. Altoids and chips.
Yeah, the
and
Marts.
Slurpees.
And Slurpees.
Yeah.
I
so
think
that's-
we might have Hardick first time, long time calling in. He hinted that he may be making a return. I'm not sure whether he owns a convenience store or not. I'm just saying that's another Legal Fix All-Star that
Is
maybe.
that the guy that had the mail order bride?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he
Very
wanted
nice.
to bring her here, and he talked to Luis Hess.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
right.
we need him to call in.
He may be calling in.
So
Yeah,
if you
this is
do,
important
if you call on in 936-900-2381. But let me just give you a little overview, a preview of what I've been doing. So I've been on a concert tour. I went to Hank Williams Jr. last weekend at the Golden Nugget, and that was rocking. I mean, the guy plays multiple instruments.
Is that
Diana
He's
Tillman
still
Fertitta,
standing. I took
Golden
the
Nugget?
Honey Badger with me.
Did you drag her, or did she go willingly?
No, she kind of went willingly because I saw Hank Williams Jr. in Nashville when I was living up there, and I said, I've got to see him again. It was a bucket list thing. Madison found out about it. She goes and bought me tickets. I went there. It was awesome.
fun.
Did you
Great
do the
concert.
Scoot and Boogie?
He did everything. He
Yeah.
played it all. It was it's like in the ballroom of the Golden Nugget where they had like riser bleachers. It's like a gymnasium, and everybody stood in the middle. And you should have seen the cross section of humanity. who
Was James
there.
Harden there?
James Harden was not there.
Was Tillman Fertitta there?
Tillman was not there. But
that
I did
his
see.
place?
I saw a helicopter come in and land, so he might have been back in the VIP section. Who knows?
Okay.
He could have been there. So tell us a little bit about some hot topics, BW.
Oh my gosh!
Tell me
I
what
think
you're
we
Going
should
Goose.
lead off
The
with
goose is
ducks.
loose.
Yeah, the
ducks.
are
You
so
can't have
good.
them.
So when I saw this,
They're
this
obnoxious.
this was not. They didn't say where it was. They just said a Texas HOA, and
Right.
I thought, wow, where on earth in Texas would an HOA be okay with suing people about feeding ducks?
Cypress.
Besides the Woodlands, and then I realized it was in Cypress, Texas.
We
and I
like
thought,
ducks at the Woodlands.
The HOAs here are crazy, and the attorneys that represent them are even crazier.
Yeah.
Sued for $250,000 and an attempt to foreclose on this 65-year-old couple's home because they moved in
They
and
won't
started
quit.
feeding the ducks in
Quit.
the backyard.
because
quit.
they're feeding the ducks.
They gotta stop.
You're
It's
not
not
supposed
allowed.
to.
Wildlife.
It's not
You're not
allowed.
supposed to feed the ducks.
It's
Let
a
me just tell you.
nuisance.
So I got to
It's
tell
an
you from
annoyance.
experience. Now I don't think they should be sued for $250,000.
How do you make them stop?
Well, there's no ordinance making ability, so you can't fine them and you can't put them in jail. But what they've done is they sued them under the covenants,
Yeah.
and they have violated the covenants, and they're getting so many dollars a day. It's probably like $100 a day if you continue
Wait, but do the
feeding the
math on
ducks.
that.
Well, I
250
mean, I'm
divided
just,
by 100.
well, who knows?
250,000.
I gotta
They
look
just
at the
threw an amount
petition.
in there. The point is stop feeding the ducks.
Well, here I got to tell you a funny story. So everything that comes out of the news is relatable to me. So when I was president of the Woodlands Community Association, I had a woman who came to the meeting. You have public comment. She said, "The ducks at Mystic Lake attacked my child.
Oh,
They were coming.
okay.
We were walking up. We were just walking. She said, "Oh, pretty duck, pretty duck."
Wanted some
And
sandwich bread.
The duck charged at her because people feed the ducks. You're not supposed to do that.
I heard a call.
Okay, caller.
That's 39 years of violations. at
Okay,
$100
let's
a
stick
day.
to-
39?
stick
I'll get
to the
back.
script
Remind
here.
me
Stick to
to
the
tell you the
script.
stories. Hello, caller.
Welcome to the
Gentlemen,
Legal
Special
Fix.
Correspondent Tate Merchant.
No
Tate
question.
Merchant.
What's your
Merchant.
name?
Well,
We've
Welcome
been
back,
waiting
you
for you.
taint.
Thank you, Tate.
Mr.
What's
Merchant.
up?
It's taint,
Well,
not
I
taint.
know-
Just so you know.
I know I was supposed to be calling the show to give an update on meat prices.
Let's hear it.
I'm actually calling with a more pressing matter.
Okay.
So I arrived early at headquarters this morning, so I was the only one there.
Tough
And
law.
as I was getting settled, I heard a rustling and a squeaking coming from the direction of the printer. But it didn't sound like an animal squeaking. It was like some sort of gnome or a fairy. And the noises only stopped when I ceased to be the only person in the office, which only heightened my suspicion that someone something is attempting to contact me. I believe that Pan is trying to contact me through one of his dryads, and that the printer in the filing room might be a portal to the land of Arcadia.
Okay.
So, Bruce,
Rico printer.
I
Somebody
need to
called
know
Rico.
if I have your permission to disassemble the printer.
Yeah, and then you're going to transport yourself somewhere. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
The $15,000 printer.
Well, do you have like a Phillips screwdriver you could just start on it?
Yeah.
He's got a hammer. I know that.
Tate, we do need that printer, and that's kind of in your domain, by the way, in
How
the
about
file
the-
room domain. Tate,
How about the one that's in your
Well, I
office,
believe it
Bruce?
might be in the domain
Turn him
of
loose
Pan
on that
at this
one.
moment.
Taint, there's another portal, actually. We have a second portal to the other world. It's in Bruce's office. It's up against the wall. It was going to be a Vietnamese party
Right,
gift.
but I didn't hear squeaking from that one. I think this is the specific one.
Well,
It's
go
a
listen
newer
up.
model, and it's a lot faster. That portal will be a lot faster than one I'm
It
in,
might
because last
be,
time I tried to go
unfortunately.
anywhere, my foot got stuck.
Yeah. Okay, that's a maybe on the disassembling of the printer.
Yeah,
Taint.
let's think about that.
Yeah, let's
we'll have a
think that one
committee
through.
decision on that.
All right, I can accept that. Okay,
accept
I'll talk to you later.
All right,
All right,
thank you,
thank you,
Tank.
Taint.
We appreciate you. All right, back to my duck story.
We should have
We're
asked
so
him what the price of Quaaludes are on the streets right now.
Yeah,
in the
he was
United
not
States.
prepared for the meat pricing.
Oh
He got
my
totally
gosh.
zapped and
Okay,
distracted.
he did. Yes, he got with the copier. So she comes to the meeting. It's a Woodlands Community Association meeting. She said there's some ducks. They attacked her daughter. She wants something done about it.
Put 'em down.
So
Trank down.
I got a hold of one of the staff at the Woodlands Community Association, and I said, "Hey, see what you can do about it." He went, picked up the ducks, and put them up at the park or somewhere. He moved them somewhere.
Duck soup for the township
Well,
that
wait.
night.
So here's the funny part. So the next week, I'm reporting, and I said, I have good news to report that the offending ducks have been removed from Mystic Lake, and they're now being served on a Chinese restaurant on I-45. It turns out the press picks
True.
it up, they print it,
Ran with
and
it.
then, of course, the mom reads
Why
it
don't
and
you-
says, I didn't want the ducks to be killed.
Why don't you
A la
have that?
carte.
Why don't you have that like posted that news article posted in your office?
I should
I
have.
think you should be
I
proud of
I
that.
save about everything
I
about
just-
me, but I don't have that one.
I just let's
Wring their
just go
necks.
back to this though.
Okay, go ahead.
The prohibitions that they're claiming are being violated. Any activity that emits foul or obnoxious odors outside the unit.
Can't do it.
Pursuit of hobbies or other activities that tend to cause an unclean, unhealthy, or untidy condition to
Unclean
exist
conditions.
outside the enclosed structures of the unit.
Don't forget
Any
about the
noxious
annoyance.
or offensive activity which, in the reasonable determination of the board, tends to cause embarrassment, discomfort, annoyance, or nuisance. Any activity which materially disturbs or destroys the vegetation, wildlife, wetlands, or the quality within the community or
the
with
kitchen sink. They're throwing everything.
Is that
at
what
it.
they're nailing them
That's
with?
what
Look,
they're trying to
it-
do.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, you're ruining the
Ducks
vegetation by
absolutely
feeding the
match
ducks.
that.
The Rose need
Well,
to
that's a
hire
weak
us.
one,
They
but
need
the
to
first
hire
ones
us.
are good. It's
they
an
need to hire
annoyance.
us to defend this.
It's an annoyance. If Paolo's living there, she can't do it. She can't be near a web-footed animal.
Yeah, it's a nuisance.
She's got a
She just
50-mile
can't
radius.
eat.
All right,
A web-footer.
Brandon, you're going to have to keep track
Yeah.
of this. We're going to
Okay.
continue to report on this. No one knows
This
about
is
this
crit-
but us on the
mission
Legal
critical.
Fix. We get the hottest and the best legal topics for
Mission
you.
critical.
Okay.
And the law firm
Yes.
suing this old couple,
Right.
Hoover and Slovacek.
Oh, is it? Okay, I know Joe Slovacek. All right. Well, we'll get it. We'll
Maybe you should
continue the
call him.
report.
This is
I will.
questionable.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to do segment number 2. What do we have for segment 2, Jeremy?
I think we're going to be hearing from Scorned farmer Reginald Buchanan.
But Reginald Buck Buchanan. All right,
Yeah.
perfect. All right.
Reggie Buck.
We'll be right back. I'm Bruce Tuff, principal of the Tuff Law Firm. We are a full-service law firm serving the greater Woodlands area and the greater Houston area. Contact us at 281-681-0808. We're tough for you.
Top 40s. Dance. Latin. Country. Pop. rock and roll. All at one station. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Hey, welcome back to the Legal Fix. I'm the Big Deal, Bruce Tuff. I'm here with Boy Wonder, Brandon Riley, Golden Boy, Jeremy Hall. If you have a question, please call our hotline, 936-900-2381. Today, we're taking your calls and receiving updates from some of our favorite callers. The Legal Fix Hotline All-Stars. Now, what was Tate talking about? Because I actually missed that. What portal is he talking about?
Yeah, he wants to take apart the copier because some alternate life form has spoken to him from inside.
I see. Okay.
I just have a hard time believing that because he's never the first one in the office.
Yeah,
That's
where
where
did
the
that
whole
part
thing-
come
heard
up? That's
the
the most
wrestling.
unbelievable
That's
part of
the
the story
whole thing
is that
falls
he's
apart
in
right then.
Yeah.
with a fresh cup of coffee this morning organizing files.
He was?
I'm not seeing
Yeah.
it.
Okay,
I just
you're
am
not
not believing
okay.
that.
All
Struggle
right, we're
busting
going to
on
have
it.
to check
Yeah,
on
that
him.
whole story was
Yeah,
unbelievable.
we'll check on him and follow up on that.
We'll audit his hours.
Okay, next we have an update with the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Yeah, so the Wisconsin Supreme Court has voted that absentee ballot drop boxes are rife with fraud and not allowed any longer. So what that means for, as Jeremy said, old people is that they won't be able to vote anymore because obviously a drop box is the only way old people can vote.
They can mail it in, though. Old people can mail it in. Dropbox just makes it easier to drop off your ballot. And where's the fraud on it? I don't think it has fraud. It's a political play from the Wisconsin Supreme Court
I don't know. Texas
to keep
has
more
given-
Democrat votes out.
Texas has had multiple people that have been charged and convicted now of voter fraud where they were harvesting ballots from random old people, filling them out for them on video, and then depositing them hundreds at a time in these drop boxes in Texas. And so Texas has done away with it as well for that very reason.
Do you need to shut down the Dropbox, or do you need to make sure that that scenario does not happen?
How do you stop it from happening? But unless, like, honestly, like Trump said from the beginning, you shouldn't mail out absentee ballots unless they're requested.
Why
80
not?
million absentee ballots going out randomly to 80 million different addresses is not a good practice.
Why do you have to
comes
request to vote?
I think it's interesting. We have to have a driver's license to buy any kind of tobacco, alcohol, or other. We have to have some form of government identification to fly in an airplane. But you can drop it in a drop box anywhere to vote in what amounts to the only free election in the world.
Yeah, it should be
Used
easy
to
to
be.
vote.
It should be that easy. No,
It should.
No
it should
requirements?
It should be as easy as possible. No, there
why
should be
think it should be
requirements.
that easy to buy hookah?
Well, that's a different topic. But why are we in favor of things that make it harder to vote?
So you're saying that an individual requesting a ballot because they can't drive to a voting location is too onerous on them?
I don't think that sending people
We make
ballots.
them go get registration stickers. We mail them a document.
But why?
They fill it out and mail it back in.
Why make them request it if we can just send it to them and have higher participation in voting? Isn't higher participation a good thing?
Until
What if
you
we had
have
online voting? What if
over
we just did
100%?
online
That's the
voting?
future of
Blockchain
voting, I
You
think.
think so?
Sure,
Online
that's the
voting?
future of voting, absolutely.
That everybody has some secure online voting and you don't have to do anything but just press your iPhone?
Was it
That's how we
Rousseau?
vote on-
Was that
vote on
Rousseau
for
that
everything
said that?
else.
Yeah,
Four
well,
or
I mean,
500 years ago,
I mean,
he said we should
if
have
that's where
online
we're
vote.
headed to online voting, then we should probably have absentee ballots and we should have everything available to everybody. But well, how do you verify
That's the
absentee
question.
ballots? How do you prove fraud? I mean, that's the problem you all have. So if you mail out all these ballots and you have people randomly signing them and picking their candidates and mailing them in, how do you prove fraud unless you find the person that
Perpetrated
was
the fraud.
that did the fraud themselves and said, "Hey, oh, by the way, I did all these wrongful acts." So
Well, and that's how
kind
this
of the
has
question
come out.
we're balancing.
Project Veritas and other things of that nature have got recorded statements from these operatives that have abused the system by filling out other people's ballots, signing them on their behalf, and then dumping them.
I can see
at
that
the various
happening.
drop
I can
boxes.
see that happening.
So it's, you call it anecdotal evidence, but if it happens in one place, then it probably is happening in other places as well.
If Project Veritas can do it, how come all those lawsuits that were suing over fraud never made it anywhere? So there was not one lawsuit
They were
that
never
that-
going to be able to make it. You have to show that the election was swung.
Well,
But how do you show that? It's impossible to
Yeah,
show that on
it's
that
all-
level. You're
well,
talking about hundreds
Here
of
we go.
thousands of situation.
Okay,
All
we have
stars.
another
Who's
all-star
this?
caller. Hello, caller.
Welcome to the Legal Fix.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on the Legal Fix.
Is that a man?
What's your
Hi,
question?
this is Reginald Buchanan from up in Cut and Shoot.
Reginald.
Reginald, we're so glad you're
welcome
back. Reggie was like one on our first show, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Or was it
second
that-
episode, Family Law.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh
it
my
was.
gosh,
He was an
Reggie,
OG
welcome
of the
back.
show.
How have you been?
Still got that truck.
I've been good. Listen, y'all helped me out with my family law issue, and so I figured I'd give y'all another call.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you
So,
have a question?
yeah. So last week while I was out walking the property, saw a utility man out there, and I went and asked him about it, and he said that he was surveying the property. Turns out that my neighbor is thinking about selling and moving, and this surveyor was out there on my property putting down little flags everywhere. So I asked him why I had to survey my property if the neighbor was moving, and he ended up saying that it was the neighbor's property, not mine. Now, I know that to not be true. But, boundary line has been a good, 20, 30 feet back over towards them for about as long as I can remember, and we lived out here for years. So I'm trying to figure out, one, what I'm supposed to do with all these orange flags that I collected, and two, like, how am I supposed to
Oh boy.
basically fight it and make sure that this land is my land?
You pulled
Okay,
him right up,
Reggie.
did
Oh,
you?
you
Reggie
have called the right
pulled the
person. And
flag.
before
Yeah.
Boy Wonder answers this is what we've been doing a lot of. Survey, boundary disputes, trespass to try title cases, adverse possession. You've hit all. You've knocked them all off. So, Boy Wonder, I'm going to hand this off to
Reggie,
you.
one
He's
more
moved.
fact question,
Yeah.
just to confirm how we answer this. What kind of overalls do you wear?
Sorry, what'd you say?
What kind of overalls
Hey.
do you wear?
Carhartts.
He wears Levi's with
Coveralls?
one button up.
What are coveralls?
He has it with
Overalls.
One, overalls.
Canadian
he has
tuxedo.
one. He wears Levi's with one strap
one
on
strap?
and one strap off.
Leather
Yeah.
horse
Yeah.
riding jacket.
You're going to have to switch to Carhartt.
Yeah.
If you're going to pull up flags, first of all, don't pull up a survey flag. That's illegal in the state of Texas. It's actually a misdemeanor to move or remove any kind of surveys, flags, stakes, boundary markers of that nature.
I think he's racked up like
So
65
yeah,
misdemeanors.
maybe
What do
put
I
them
do
back,
with all these orange
put them back where you
flags?
found them. Just lay them down where you found them.
Put him back in the right place where you know the boundary is, right, BW?
Yeah, well, this thing is so complicated. This is why these cases land on us, because no one else wants them, and so we get like sloppy fourths, not
Yes.
seconds,
Oh,
but like
yeah.
sloppy fourths
Oh, yeah.
on these. But at the end of the day, if it's a trespass to try title claim, then you have a superior title, and you're trying to clear the cloud over your title as it relates to your neighbor's boundary. If it's an adverse possession claim where perhaps his survey is correct and yours is wrong, then you have to be able to show over a course of so many years, depending on the facts surrounding your ownership and use, that you've had a hostile taking of that property, open, notorious, and continuous, and that you've used it to its greatest potential, meaning that you've developed it in some way, whether it's putting a sprinkler system out, a garden out there, put a fence up, in any
He
other
owns it,
regard.
though. He doesn't need hostile takeover. He probably has all of his
You
documents
can
in
claim
order.
color of title and,
and he can
attempt
bring
to go
him
a
right in.
5-year route, but at the end of the day, there's so many complicating factors to these that you have to really think about what is the value of that strip, because the value of that strip will be lost in the litigation cost of fighting these.
What does
and
it
that's what everyone
cost?
finds out.
What does he need to pony up to hire us?
A bunch of money.
Like how much?
A bunch is a bunch.
What's his initial retainer?
The initial retainer depends. I mean, if we're doing a TRO to try to stop the sale of a piece of property where the boundary is disputed, then you're looking at $15,000 pony up front just for us to try the TRO up front, and then an injunction hearing. And if it's just a standard trespass to try title or an adverse possession claim, then you're looking at least $5,000 retainer fee up front, but you're talking about what amounts of 5 times that in expenses before the case is done. And so it's the best way you could do it is to resolve it with your neighbor. If you can't, then you got to call us back. Reggie
Sound
Buck.
good to you, Reggie? You got the money to hire the tough law firm?
You could always sell the truck.
I might end up needing to.
All right, so Reggie, you did keep the truck, right? And you gave your wife the chickens.
Yeah, all but one of the chickens. She left one of the birds for a parting gift, and well, we had fried chicken that night.
Yes,
So
sir.
she gave you the
Yes,
bird?
He had one. She left one bird for him. Reggie, that's a real complicated problem, but you got to come to the Tough Law Firm for complicated legal problems. That's all we do.
We've
If
got
there-
some ducks you may be able to hunt down and fillet as well.
Yeah, we have a
And then
offending
next-
duck problem in Cypress, so we may need to send you
Reggie's
out
the
to do some
solution.
remediation
Yeah,
efforts.
Extermination.
Yes. Good job. Well, thank you, Reggie.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
the
calling
call.
back. I appreciate you still listening to the Legal Fix.
Yes.
Yeah, good deal. Good luck for you. Okay, now, Boy Wonder, you have a Supreme Court update.
Yeah, so there is a case that is on the radar that should be ruled on right before the midterm elections. This case regards the North Carolina Republican Party's probably gerrymandering, but at the end of the day, it relates right back to the court-drawn maps. And whether or not one of the district courts in that area could rebuke the legislator as it relates to their attempt to divide out how the electoral map process would be for the federal elections. And the implications are huge, because if the Supreme Court on a 6-3 vote, conservative lean, agrees with the legislator, then it cedes a ton of power back to each state's legislator as it relates to conducting federal elections, conducting elections in general. So that's on the radar. We should see that come out right before the midterms in the next 3 or 4 months.
So this,
Very interesting.
let me try to boil this down. So
Yeah.
so what it is that the state legislature can change the election results through their legislative body ruling on who the state electors are, and they have exclusive legislative power to do it, overriding the courts and overriding the governor, overriding
Sort of,
federal
kind of,
law.
in a way. The only true oversight as it would relate under the independent state legislator doctrine would be federal oversight from Congress.
Okay.
So it would be legislator overseeing legislator.
Oh, man.
I thought this
You know.
was saying that you can't do that, that it's reserved to the states. They can
Well,
make up
that's-
their own laws for elections. Even though it's federal representation, the states get to draw the boundaries and make the election laws, and everything that happens to get the federal Congress and senators there, the states control that process. Each state individually.
Well, that's the juxtaposition of the two arguments, right? If the Republicans of North Carolina win, then the legislator controls that whole process without any oversight from the governor or from the courts of that state. The only oversight that could come through would be from Congress itself. And then
okay.
the opposite is what you just said, and those are the two competing arguments being made. And I don't think you can actually draw a line between the two and kind of balance them. I think it's one way or the other. You either have overview from the governor and you have overview from the court system in that state, or you don't. So
This is
we will see.
leading
It's
to
a
what's
major-
happened in recent elections, where the election happens and then you have this individual state monopoly bingo situation where you're going into each one and looking at the results and what's their process and did the governor object and do they have drop boxes and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And states are still in play after the election has been called or is over because of these differing processes.
Agreed.
And they're coming under the microscope now.
Yes.
And this leads to more differing processes, it sounds like, if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the states.
I'll be very interested to see how they rule on this.
Well, an
because it
example
will
of the
affect
last
everyone.
election was in Georgia, where the Supreme Court of Georgia ruled that they could extend the dates to count ballots or to receive ballots, which overrode the state legislature that says, no, it's over on this date.
Stop counting.
They said they had a stop count date, hard stop, and then the court said, no, we're going to override that, or we're going to allow counting to continue for another week or 10
I mean,
days.
is that a bad
That's-
thing? They jacked up the personnel. They couldn't get them counted, so you're going to give them more time.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, I
don't
think
know.
if someone's put their vote in and you've dropped it in the mailbox and it's like the mailbox rule, it was timely placed in the mailbox and you don't have enough staff like Harris County to perform the voting. I mean, just look what happened in Harris County. All of the scrutiny that's going on, we have an elections administrator who is hired for the specific task in Harris County, Texas, to make sure that the votes are counted timely, and they still bungled it. They just bungled it like crazy. I mean, you've got to have some rules, though, and you've got to have, I think, uniform rules, and they have to. And if for federal election, I think they should be uniform. You
Are
can't
there
just
some
have
type
all
of
this-
model rules where states can look, like we have model rules for other things in the law, where states
they're
can look
different.
and see,
Well, there are.
here's how you can run an election
Yeah,
process?
the uniform model rules for elections. Yeah, for voting, but it's different in every state.
And just
Even
a-
the state primaries are different, so
Yeah.
everything is completely different.
Way different.
Yeah.
But and just to run back to the Wisconsin issue, in Wisconsin, the only rule change that actually occurred is that you have to present the ballot to a manned location. You can't just drop it in any drop
That's
box.
fine. What about a scanner that scans a serial number when you put it in? So if you got one person putting 70 in, they know your identity.
Well, the drop box is not sophisticated enough to do that yet. They,
Well, you
they don't have the
could.
drop
I don't think we
box
should
set
just
up to be
cancel
that
the Dropbox
sophisticated.
because you can't tell if somebody's stuff in
So
the
they,
ballot box.
all they said was it has to go to a staff location. So
Okay.
it just changes. If you can make it to the drop box,
Hand
you
it
can
to
make
me.
it to the district clerk's office to drop it off.
Okay.
Right.
All right. What's your opinion, Jeremy, on election law and voting in the states and the federal? Give me your summary. What's
I
your
think
position?
Republicans and Democrats have got to work together, much like the gun control issue, to find a solution to make it easier for legitimate votes to be cast. I think in the internet age, when we're recording our preferences with a like or a click online on our phones or on our computers, the fact that we have to go stand in line or request a ballot in the mail makes it harder to vote and discourages people from voting. And I think we have to do it in a way where it's not subject to fraud, but that it makes it easier for people to vote that want to vote. Common sense voting laws.
Verified.
No different
Verified,
than,
too.
than
Have
the
it all
fact that you
verified.
can register to vote online without issue. So if you can register to vote online, why can't you
well,
vote
you
online?
got, but it's like registration. If you don't do, you've got to do it like 60 days or 120 days.
And they
in
have to mail
California,
it to
it's
your
3
address.
days. You know, it's just like that's what's so bizarre. Your position, BW.
I think Jeremy's right. We have to come up with a solution that is a modernized approach. And obviously the blockchain exists for these very issues, right?
Yeah.
The ability to have a public ledger that is anonymous but allows you to be able to verify your own vote and creates transparency in the system so that there's trust in the system. So without trust, there's never going to be a year where there's not a contest of did he win or did he not? Can we decertify this election result or not?
Right.
And it just goes on and on forever. And there eventually will be a corruption of the belief that there's any due process in the process of voting.
It's bad for democracy.
It's terrible
Yeah,
for us all.
I think that, I'm old school. I like voting. I like showing up to vote. I do early voting. It's convenient for me. It's not a big issue to show up and vote because I'm an American, I'm a citizen, and I value my right to do that. Unfortunately, I guess we're going to have to make it easier and easier and easier for everybody else to have a greater participation. Voting turnout is low unless it's for the presidential election. So any type of verified technology that makes this simpler for me is fine.
Big deal can do
I'm
it.
glad glad we solved that issue. Hey guys, it's a great show. I like doing the just legal topics and legal call
Yes.
in and doing that. It's a great thing. But we'll have some more guests on next week, and I want to
the
thank
meat
you all.
prices weren't discussed. We're going to have to get back to that.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll
we
save
need
that.
What's
an
the
Yeah.
price
update.
Yeah.
per pound of a cattle
need
All
an
right.
now?
update.
Thank you for watching The Legal Fix, brought to you by the Tough Law Firm. Please call us at 281-681-0808 or visit toughlawfirm.net or hit us up in the comments. Watch
Catch-
the
I don't
past
need a copy.
episodes and highlights on our website and our YouTube channel.
Connect with us on Facebook and Insta and listen live on Spotify and 91.1 FM The Boss, Fridays at noon.
El Jefe.
Hey, I'm the Big Deal, Bruce Tuff, here with Boy Wonder, Brandon Riley, the Golden Boy, Jeremy Hall. We'll see you next week on The Legal Fix.
You guys didn't give me a copy of that.